All right, let's see what the data tells us. Liar is blue.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It's kind of the South, you know, like Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Georgia. Liar, that slow drawl, you know. Kind of makes sense, right? Somebody's going to have to ask Gary Brooks tomorrow how he pronounces that word. Because isn't he from Arkansas? Is that right? Yeah, I think so too. And that's like all blue. I'll be very interested to see how that turns out. Okay, let's do another one. What's that word?
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise, right? Because that's the way that we pronounce it, isn't it? Mayonnaise. 2 syllables instead of what?
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise. 3 syllables. Yeah. Okay, so the 2 syllables like that. Pick a quadrant of the United States where you think it's most likely to be pronounced mayonnaise, 2 syllables. Quickly. Thank you. You're also polite. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow. Letter B, which is number 2, which is the Northeast. I think the Northeast is where they say mayonnaise 2 syllables. How many of you say it with 2 syllables mayonnaise? No, you can't just say mayo. I know what you're going to say. Okay, 2 syllables mayonnaise, that's a bunch of you. All right, let's take a look at the data. Mayonnaise, 2 syllables, is blue. Southeast, a little more southeast. Interesting, right? Okay, I've got a whole bunch more slides like these. There are some pretty hotly contested ones. Like, let me just tell you one of them real quick. There's one that has 4 different pronunciations. I'll just give you one of them. Pecan. 4 different ways to say that. You got pecan, you got pecan, you got pecan, and you got pecan. And I have a friend from South Carolina, Mike Soskell knows who I'm talking about, who will fight you to say that it's pecan. He will fight you, won't he? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, what's the right way to say that word, by the way? Pecan? I heard a lot of pecan in there too. You all need to get together and discuss your answers together. Okay, last one of these that we're going to do, and then we're going to take our student hat off and put our teacher hat on. Because this was kind of fun, right? All right, we didn't get to all of them. What other word pronunciations and multiple words? Remember, like pop and soda. Which other ones are hotly contested? You've got a text box on your screen. Go ahead and jot some of those down real quick. We'll see a couple of the answers. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put your responses up here. Feel free to keep typing if you'd like. Taylor ham versus pork roll? Somebody knows what that means, but that's not me. Yeah, okay, yep, you're right. I'm not. Caramel versus tomato. Look at that one up there. Water and water. Sneakers and kicks, I like that. Oh, here's one right here. We get a bunch of this one in Indiana. Creek versus crick. Oh my goodness. And you might go down to the crick if you need to wash your clothes. Sprinkles versus Jimmy's. John versus think, that doesn't mean anything to me. Sneakers, tennis shoes. I've actually got a sneakers, tennis shoe slide up there too. Crown. Oh dear, there's nuclear. Nuclear. Yeah, that's right. That's the George W. Bushism, isn't it? Okay, Eagles and Eagles, I like that. Okay. All right, good stuff. How else do you say Oregon? Oregon. All right, fair enough. Okay, so I'm going to shut this off real quick. And we're going to look at it over here. So let's, like I was saying, let's take our teacher hat off student hat off, and let's put our teacher hat on for a second. And think about what we just did up here compared to the way that we use slides a lot of times. Because what do slides look like a lot of times? What do they usually have on them? Text, bullet points, all of that stuff. And a lot of times, what are the slides up there for? Who are they really supposed to help? Yeah, exactly. So you could kind of go either way on that. In the end, really, a lot of times the teachers put them up there so they know what to say, right? Think about the slides that we just did on this slide presentation. How many bullet points did you see? How much text did you see? Yeah, just a teeny tiny bit, but it wasn't even the focus. See, here's the difference, and this is what I love about tools like this. We're going to get into the instructional side of this for a second. Is that a tool like this allows us to shift the slides that we make from what we want to tell students to what we want students to do. It's a focus from what am I going to tell them so that they can sit passively and listen, to what do I want them to do so they can work interactively. So if you think about the slides that you just worked with here, that was basically the focus, wasn't it? I designed these slides so that you could do something with them. And so when you start to make that shift, when you start to flip that switch a little bit, what does that do? That takes it from the teacher-centered, I'm going to stand up here and present with my slides, to the student-centered, I'm going to give you some slides with some things to do so you can interact with it. That's the big shift that I love about this kind of thing. See, it's easy to come and talk about the tools and go, oh, look, you can do questions where you can draw, and you can do questions where you drag the dot. This is the big instructional thing that I love about this. So, with that in mind, let me kick it out to all of you, because we had several hands that were, and I promise this isn't just a Pear Deck presentation, we're going to go on and do some other stuff too. But does anybody have an example of like how you've used it where it's been really effective for you? I see, yep, that was a quick hand, by the way. Really? Yeah, she said she uses it for math and being able to plot numbers on a line, you said? Oh, I didn't realize they did that with numbers. Okay, so when they type a number, one of the question types, they're all right down here, is a number, and it plots them on a, I've never used that question before. Yeah. Where the outliers. Oh, wow, that's good. That's good, I like it. What else? Anybody else have one? Oh, yes, sir.
Just as a performance assessment tool, like, does everyone know where we are? Just like even just a quick multiple choice question, you get feedback right away.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just to use it for quick formative assessment like that. Yep.
Anytime that I have a class broken up into small groups, but I'm not able to listen in on every group's conversation, but I can look at their conversation notes later on and then determine what to do next.
I never would have thought to use it for that. You just give them what, a text slide,
Yep.
and they're able to put their conversation notes in, and then you can watch them in real time. That's good. One more? If not, that's good. Yeah, go ahead.
We used it to do with training professionals. We did a lot of draggable slides, like, hey, where do you think this is? And then we also used it for questions, so I gave everybody an anonymous voice.
Nice. I like that for Windows 10 training. She said draggables, drag the dot to where you think this is, and then they could ask questions with an anonymous voice. Really, really like that. That's amazing. I thought I would mention real quick, I won't get into the nitty-gritty of how to make these, because you can go to peardeck.com and get a bunch of instructions on that, which makes it super easy. I mean, really all you've got to do is install this add-on, which you only do that once, and then you can just start assigning questions to your slides, and you present with that button, and then you're done. That's really the nuts and bolts of how to use it, right? I did want to share this with you real quick. This is a freemium tool, a free tool and a premium tool, right? So there's some paid features and there's some free features. You can get almost all of the free features. You can get almost all of the features with the free plan. But if you want to try out the premium ones for 3 months for free, check out what I've got here. And actually, if you go to the Pear Deck booth down in the expo hall, they've got a little card with this too. But if you want to snap a picture of that, that'll give you 3 months of Pear Deck Premium for free, which gives you all of the question types, and it also gives you the teacher dashboard, which is the best part of this, where I can have another device and I can see all of my students' responses on this device, and I can assign certain ones up onto the screen. And I mean, there's a bunch you can do with that teacher dashboard. That's kind of my favorite part of all of it. So as soon as you punch in this link, the time starts ticking on those 3 months. So if you want to use it now, I mean, you know, we're at the end of February, right? March, April, May. That could take you through the end of school probably. So, so yeah, feel free to check that out if you want. Okay. Questions on that? I asked if there were questions and then I didn't look up. Shame on me. Let me do that again. Questions on that? Okay, that's what I thought. Buzz Lightyear, what did you think of that? Darn. Try that again. Okay, good reaction. Anybody else feel about like that? Like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, even if you already sort of knew about it. Okay. The next one I wanted us to touch on, again, when we're talking about bringing things student-centered, is I want to touch a little bit on HyperDocs. And I know some people are like devout HyperDocs followers, but I know there's still a bunch of us that don't know about them. So let me see the hands. You're like, preach it, brother, tell me more about the HyperDocs. Who are my devout HyperDocs people in the room? Oh, just a few of you. Okay, all right, good. All right, so how about the rest of you? Could you show hand if you're familiar with it but not totally sure what it is? Okay, very good. All right, so if you're not familiar, I'm going to give you a real quick synopsis of it, and then we're going to do one. Because I found that the best way to explain what this is to actually do it. So here's the idea behind HyperDocs, just real quick in a nutshell. And then you'll be able to see why this fits so nicely with the student-centered model that we're talking about in this session. With HyperDocs, basically what you're doing is you're walking students through a lesson, but you're not really walking them through it as much as you are handing it to them and letting them take it on their own. So it walks them through this, this is kind of like the lesson plan framework that they use. Engage them, allow them to explore, have them explain what they're learning, take it and apply it in some way, then share it with the group, reflect on what they learned, and then extend and add more if necessary. And all of that lives in a single document. So the students grab that document, they go to the beginning of it, and they get going. And some of you might look at that and go, isn't that like a web quest? Isn't that kind of like a digital worksheet? You know, like, and the difference here is that there's so much interactivity and so much students creating things that it really takes it to a whole other level. And if you follow this framework, it makes them pretty easy to make. Plus, there's a huge data now. If you want to try it on a cell phone or something, it very well may work. But we're going to do a teeny tiny little HyperDoc together. This is a 3-step, oh, it's at the bottom, I'm sorry. I need to do better than that. P.S. If you're ever doing presentations in front of a group like this and you want to give them a link, you know where you should put the link? At the top. That's a rookie mistake by me. Sorry. Okay, so the link is ditchthattextbook.com/happyplace. ditchthattextbook.com/happyplace. Okay. What you will find when you go there, and I'm going to go up here on my screen just in case you aren't able to. So this will load up, and you'll notice that you get the document and you have the blue Use Template button up at the top. Does anybody real quick want to know the nerdy trick that you can do to make one of these buttons? Do any of you know what it is? How you change the link a little bit? You know what it, yeah, okay. All right, there's a few of you. Is that whenever you have a document, you hit the blue share button, and you get one of those links, one of those anyone with the link can view type of links, and you copy it. Have you ever noticed what the last word is at the end of that link? Edit. Delete the word edit and type in template/preview. I'll say that again in case you want to write it down. You get that link. In fact, I'm going to show it to you at the end of mine. See, there it is right there. You get that share link, you delete the word edit, and you put in template/preview. And it gives you that little preview window where you can hit the button that says make template. Have any of you ever done this before where you delete the word edit and you put the word copy? Yeah. Was that a yes or was that a question? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And copy is good except that you can't see what you're making a copy of. But this template preview one will let you see before you actually make a copy of it, which is kind of nice. So, okay. So you make that copy. And you will notice that this is a 3-step hyperdoc. You're going to see by the boxes.
That schedule, we had a lot more students missing the last block of the day because they were leaving for sports. And so we offered this hybrid course. I don't teach it, but it's like more of a blended, I guess. Some of it is totally flipped and some of it is done in class. But if they're not in class, they can still get the flipped part of it. So that's what that is. And again, I talked about my husband's flip of more his stat class. They actually read a book, and when they come out, read a section or read pages, and then when they come in, they discuss those pages before going into any activities with statistics. That's a non-AP statistics course. He did teach the AP, and then when we brought this one on board, he was asked to teach it. His degree is actually statistics from Penn State. So, questions? Yeah.
Do you find then the next day in class that you're mostly just facilitating, and some students may get like a base level of questions done where your more advanced kids are maybe going and doing more challenging things? And then the second part of that question is, if a kid doesn't get it done that night, and they're honest with you, do they just watch the video and do that in class that day, at least get the basics?
Yes. Okay. So I'll answer your second question first. I've already said I teach Advanced Algebra 2 and I teach Algebra 1. Very rarely does an Advanced Algebra 2 come in not having had the video watched. Very, very, very rarely. Okay. But if they do, if they don't have it watched, when we move to the asynchronous part, they have to jump on and watch it at that point. And they just don't get credit for doing that. Videos are 2 points, 10% of the grade. And then Algebra 1, though, because this is our lower level Algebra 1, very unmotivated for the most part, showing, like I've already told you, 27 kids, 25 IEPs, or ELLs, I should say. At the very start of the school year, we try to do it all year, but we make the night they have a video, do the next day. And one nice thing about Canvas, I don't know if anybody else uses Canvas, is I can go into the grade book and see who hadn't watched it and send a email or message just to those kids saying, I see you haven't watched the video, please watch it now, or whatever, before class or whatever. But when they come to class, we design activities that they don't want to have to miss. And so after the first couple videos that they have to sit and watch the video while everybody else gets to do, a breakout EDU or do a Quizlet or, whatever, they realize they're missing out. So the fear of missing out happens, and then you do start to see. So it usually takes about probably the first half of the marking period to get everybody on board so that when they're coming in, they're having had watched. And as you know, and I'm not perfect, no one's perfect, there will be kids, and then you just have to, so I designed the class. So my Algebra 1 is co-taught with another math teacher. So like I told you, we were doing a lot of things differently with Algebra 1 this year because of, or not this year, in the last couple of years, mainly because of the Algebra 1 Keystone. And we were not getting our kids to pass our low-level algebras to pass that. So we went to where they have us every day. They get 2 math credits for an Algebra 1 course. They also get 2 math teachers, so not a math and a special ed, but two certified math teachers in there. So I teach it with another. So we design the 90 minutes to start the class so that to kind of, we use Get More Math, and I'm actually presenting on that on Wednesday, but we oftentimes start with Get More Math for 10, 20 minutes, however long the video is, so that we're tidying up those beginning of a class things, those kids that haven't watched get in to watch, and then usually the kids that don't watch, like I said, it's not consistently the same kid now, but there's kids that have jobs. There's kids that go home and either have to babysit or have jobs, and they're just too tired to watch it. So, you know, so our lunch for those kids, they eat first lunch and then they come to me for 7273 or 3233, and so oftentimes they'll actually come down to the room for lunch. They'll go get their lunch and come down and watch the video while they're eating their lunch. So, you know, because they know it's important, and they know that they're going to miss out on something, getting a sticker or something, who knows. But
on that puzzle, they answer the questions. Does that puzzle feed you that back in a spreadsheet format?
It can be. I don't download it. You can. You can get it back in a spreadsheet, but what it gives you back is the list of your students' names. I could probably pull it up, but list of students' names, and then there's like a bar that shows you if they did 100%, 90%, and the way we have it with Canvas for our LMS Canvas, if you embed the Ed Puzzle through Canvas, and I just have it mark it complete or incomplete, it's got to go 100% for them to get the complete in the grade book.
But the feedback on the question.
Yeah, the feedback on the question. So when I go in, I'll see the bars, and then usually there's like a little box that says these need to be graded or whatever. Like if I have them all multiple choice, it'll grade it alone. But if there's any open-ended, then I'll just look through. I look through the question. I know what the answer should be. Mark those that are wrong, because usually there's less wrong than right. And then I'll say Ed Puzzle, mark everybody else right. And then I'll go to those questions and look at the students that are missing it and looking at the errors that they're making. And that's usually how I start class.
Maybe I'm not clear.
Oh.
The last question at puzzle, they need to write something.
Yeah, that's
I'm
with.
confused.
Oh, that goes into Google, spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you scan those ahead of time and say, okay, well, a majority was confused about this,
Yes.
and then put that in your lesson for the day?
Yes, that's exactly what I do. And I generally do it, like I said, our school doesn't start until 8:40 now, and I'm usually at school by 7, 10 after 7. So I generally will just scan all classes that day. My advanced undertakes are on B days. So I'm the Keystone coordinator for a district. So my A day, I only teach 1 section. But my B day, I teach 3. Then I'll glance through and see the confusion, see the questions, and I also look at the Ed Puzzle questions, the your turns that are in Ed Puzzle, to find out how many people are missing it. And then, because I can look at see the percentage of people that miss that question, and I'll also start class there. So yes, so when I do a video the night before, the very first thing after attendance, after I go over the agenda, is summarize and deal with those WIS questions or the your turn questions or the true false. Because there's always true false as well.
How are you assessing the students? Are you doing mini quizzes, the chapter test, paper pencil, an online platform?
For Advanced Algebra 2, the grade weight is 10% formative, 90% summative, and I know nothing is truly summative, but so summative is more your the unit test or the unit quiz. The formatives are your go formatives. So every day, unless there's a chapter test, a unit test, or a unit quiz, they're doing a go formative. And so those go formatives are the basis of, are we getting that learning target, those hard learning targets? They're based off of learning targets. But then, so the tests are really a compilation of the type of questions we're asking to go formative, but not the exact questions. And I also do something called a focus list for my students, and I kind of, because I don't think a kid should be surprised what's on the test. I mean, they shouldn't. I've talked about the learning targets. You know, there should be no surprise. And so, so I'll talk to them about the focus of the test and the type of question, not exact questions, and not, you know, but there's 4 word problems. There's, you know, those type of things. So the assessments are, and in Advanced Algebra 2, every week there's either a mid-unit quiz or a unit quiz. Sometimes some units have 4 or 5 quizzes. When we did matrices and systems and matrices and linear programming, there's 1 million quizzes for that unit. So, okay. So was that answering your question? Did I answer your first question? Okay. I'm like, I knew I started with the second, but I'm not sure if I answered. Any other questions? Yeah.
Now, is there a way, like, to watch the videos again?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so like 3 weeks from now, I don't remember how to do this, they can go back.
Yeah, absolutely. They can, and Edpuzzle tells you how many times they've watched it. So you'll have a kid that's good, bless you. You'll have a kid who'll say, "Well, I watched it 4 times and I still don't understand it." And I'm like, "Did you really?" I mean, but I've also had students that you can actually go into Edpuzzle and clear their responses. So they have to do the responses again as well. And I'll have kids, and that's the same with Go Formatives. So I'll have kids that, you know, that are preparing to take a test or whatever, they'll ask me to reset everything, and they'll come back and redo it all. You know, so yes. Yeah, so they can watch it. Yeah.
If a student is absent, you mentioned to use Canvas. I don't, but
That's all right.
they can sort of know what they missed, right?
Yeah, the agenda is a Google spreadsheet.
Okay.
So, and the agenda is in Canvas, but it's also not in Canvas. It could be in their Google Drive. And then, and then Edpuzzle, when we weren't using Canvas with Edpuzzle, they can go into Edpuzzle and they can see all the videos that weren't watched, and they could just watch them.
And they can do that night's homework.
Yeah, yeah,
Before the next day.
yeah. And then for Algebra 1, they don't. For Advanced Algebra 2, they do. You know, they really do. Yeah.
You and your husband teach high school, but are there other people in your district using it for like middle school or younger?
There is. Well, I don't know about younger, the middle school. We do have 2 math teachers at our middle school that are using it with Algebra 1 in the 7th and 8th grade. So yeah, there are. And there's other subjects as well using it. And a lot of the Spanish teachers, a lot of language teachers flip. So there's some science teachers are flipping. Science is perfect to flip, actually. And you have more time to do the labs. The science teachers will actually do the lab setup as a flip, so that when they come in, they don't have to review the lab setup. It's in a flipped thing. Other questions? No. I hope this is helpful to you. All of my different contacts are up here. And please, if you have a question, if you're anxious to do it or want to do it and you have questions, you're welcome. And like I have all Advanced Algebra 2 stuff, so I'd be happy to share my videos with you. It's not as long as your sections might not. A couple of years ago, we were told we couldn't use chapters; they had to be called units. And so my unit 0 is my chapter. No, my unit 5, unit 6 is chapter 5. I mean, it's like really weird. I'm like, just use chapters. And I don't tend to use a textbook. Very rarely do I use a textbook. Yeah.
For a 15-minute video, how long would you say it takes you to make the video?
That's a loaded question. Probably 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably 3 times. Now, unless you're a perfectionist. My husband is a perfectionist, and he'll make his videos will start out being 3 hours long, and then he'll edit them down to like 9 minutes. I mean, and so he spends, so if you have a 3-hour long video, you're spending 5 hours editing it, you know, and I always told him, and he's gotten better at not making them so long, but he wants to put all these, because he teaches Calc 3, so he does a lot of visuals that he puts in, and, you know, so I've told him make tiny little videos, then in Camtasia you can put them all together, which is kind of nice with that, but there's a lot of work up front. I had a science teacher once tell me, she hated me for some reason, and she told me, she's like, well, you flip because you're lazy. I'm like, and I invited her, I'm like, you're welcome to come and sit in my class anytime you want. And, you know, and like I said, I was going to school at 6 in the morning. When I started flipping, I was like 3 days ahead of my students. And it was not a good feeling. And if I were you, you have not flipped and you would like to flip, I would just pick a unit like I was told and just do a unit and try that out. And that's how I mentor a lot of the people in my district when they want to flip, is to start tiny, maybe just with a lesson and go from there, because it is a lot. It is a lot of time to get up front. But once it's done, I'm still editing, I'm still changing things, but not as much, because that time needs to be done now. So it's kind of nice. So now I can focus my energy on the activities to fill the 90 minutes that they have. So I don't want to scare anybody. It is a lot of work. Any other questions for me? Well, how much time do we have? Oh, not much. So if you have questions, you want to talk to me, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Again, I'd be happy to answer email as well. So, okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm telling you, the way that I do my classroom is that it's almost that, but also, because I have Alex, I'm telling you, Alex will make it happen, but for me it's like, ask my kids how often they use their Zoom. Ask them how often they use that. Ask my kids how often they use email. My problem, I don't know how. The whole point is to say people really time in the classroom.
Well, you tell me, do this, send me a couple of what you're going to get into. Okay. The content. And I can even show you send you the note sheet that goes with it.
Okay, that would be fantastic, just to see how it's all mapped.
Absolutely.
We're looking at changing it up for 2 books in next year too, and we're also looking at a major schedule sheet. We're looking at North Washington.
Yeah.
And they're also looking at delayed start times. We've got so much going on. I don't know how they're going to
What
implement all
district
this.
are you?
Council Rock.
Okay.
In Bucks County.
Yeah,
So, yeah, my head's about to explode between. I'm like, oh my god.
It is a lot. So like, yeah, and maybe that's how you start. Like, a lot of people are like, use other people's videos, but blind kids right off the start say, can you just make the videos and your voice? And so I did, but I make all the videos for Algebra 1. So all Algebra 1 students.
Okay, I teach Algebra 1 too, so I know those kids
so
as well.
all of my Algebra 1 videos are done by me. So all those kids are hearing my voice.
Right.
But,
The kids say they like the way I explain. They want.
Yeah, that's what
what they're
want.
used to every day. So
That's what
I would
say.
definitely
They don't
want to do my
want,
own
they hate
videos.
Khan Academy.
Yes.
They hate, because they're like, they're not the same words. And I'm like,
Right. Yeah, they definitely. I know they like that familiarity and stuff. So I would definitely want to do my own.
yeah, please just honestly send, and I'll send you a couple links, and then
That'd be great.
yeah, I'll send them out of Edpuzzle though.
Okay.
So that you can
Okay.
look at them. But,
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much. I
No
appreciate it.
problem. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Hi. Do you do kids every single night?
Not
or
every night.
especially for your Algebra 1, because I know you said you got one every day. Or
Yeah.
or two.
No, not every night.
Okay.
Yeah, very.
Like whenever you're ready to.
Very rarely is it every night for Algebra 1.
Yeah.
Usually it's like, so for instance, they had to watch Simplifying Rational Expressions. Video was Thursday into Friday. So Friday night's homework was a worksheet practicing rational expressions. Then Monday class was all rational, simplifying rational expressions, and then Monday, so tonight's homework is actually radicals, like the way we pieced it together this time. So we did all the factoring already.
Yeah.
And so is radicals. So then they'll watch a video on radicals, which is only like a 3-minute video, and then so it's not every Yeah. Okay. And for my advanced class, the only thing they have to do is videos. Any worksheets, it's up to them. I tell them, you know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And you do what you need to do to make sure you know it. You know, so I'm not gonna have them do a worksheet if they feel like I already know it.
Yeah, I have an honors algebra 1 class with 7th and 8th graders. I have the regular algebra 1 class with 8th and 9th graders.
Right.
And even the 10th graders.
Yeah.
And then I teach an algebra basic algebra 2.
Oh, okay.
And I still have some seniors in there, but it's like half and half.
Sure. So, yeah.
I would first, I think, start in the honors class. I feel like they would
That probably would be good, and that you're not gonna have your bubble first.
Yeah.
It's fast. You're not gonna get there, and then if you were to start as, it's true. Yeah. It's hard. It's easy to give up if you were to start with those. Yeah. But the main part is you've got to make your activities in your class so fun they don't want to miss them. Right. And that's the only way you're going to get them on board. Yeah. Is to do that. Now we used to get more math. Yeah, that's something you might want to look into. What the district pays. Or is it free? It's a paid. But you can get
One other senior, that's it.
You can get a trial, like if you've never used it before, they'll give it to you for free for long. Yeah, I
This is my kids thing.
Because that's what I'm like, that's still private. I've been wanting to do this for about 2 years now, and I'm in junior teaching, so I've only been teaching for like 4 years. But I've seen it, I've heard about it, I really want to do it. Because I'm like, wow, like, I'm like trying to figure out how to trust the content, let alone do this and stuff, and then all of it, find even more activities to do. So that's kind of like why I'm
And it is. I mean, it is a lot. And I would not recommend the very first time ever teaching something flip it.
Yeah.
Like you gotta learn your curriculum. You gotta learn. But but after being taught it a couple of years, like I said, I was 16 years in. I need something. Right. So I had the material. And it actually, I think I learned more. Flipping.
I'm sure that kids can love it.
Yeah, they'll ask me, like just the other day, somebody asked me, ask them if it's curves for, and for rational functions, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. Let me get back to you. And they can be, but I just never thought of it. I did. Yeah, oh, you're welcome. And email me.
Work with us. Yeah, that's where you want to. I usually have business cards. Yeah, awesome. Awesome, that's cool. That's cool. I appreciate it.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, totally. Yep. If you let's see, if you want to hit send money. I can do it if you'd like, because I'll just type it in here.
I